with thanks for 27 years of honorable service. Fullerton, California was my home of record. Fullerton, California is my heart. It's nice to be home again. And the uniform still fits. Glenn and I have been sitting in the front row for so many years watching my dad, Buck Catlin, at this podium, and now the roles are reversed. What a wonderful audience. Thank you for coming out year after year for this Memorial Day ceremony. So I just have to ask, how many of you were Girl Scouts? We Girl Scouts always start a program with a promise, and I want to thank our Girl Scout troops from Orange County. If you were a Girl Scout, would you mind standing? And ready, begin. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. Good job, Girl Scouts! Those values haven't changed for 101 years. Thank you so much for coming today. When other Americans are either at the beach or at the mall, I really appreciate your being here. It's so important that we bring our children and our grandchildren to pass the heritage of Memorial Day on to the next generation. On that first Decoration Day, nearly 150 years ago, the graves of Civil War soldiers were decorated by volunteers. And that's what I want to talk about today, the great American tradition of volunteering. Do you volunteer? If so, congratulations. Volunteerism is one of America's most cherished values. So are you a volunteer? Raise your hand. Look at that. You are one of more than 63 million Americans who volunteer nearly 8 billion hours a year. Just think about that, 8 billion hours. What would be the value in money of those hours? Volunteers improve the quality of life in our community, our nation, and the world. Whether you volunteer at church, lead a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout troop, serve on the library or hospital board, whether you are one of those 700 volunteers that place flags and crosses on the graves right here at Loma Vista, or deployed to Moore, Oklahoma as a Red Cross volunteer, your time and talents are appreciated. Did you know that servicemen and servicewomen are volunteers too? They're members of the all-volunteer force. Many of you don't remember when we drafted soldiers for the Vietnam War. Many of you were draftees. We were reminded of that Vietnam era this week as POWs were front page news again, this time at the Nixon Library for the 40th anniversary of their homecoming at the White House. Well, after the Vietnam War, America demanded an all-volunteer force. Well, the military couldn't man the all-volunteer force, so they womaned it by recruiting women, thousands of women. New occupational fields opened to women, and their numbers expanded rapidly from 1% of force to 3% of force. Still not a huge percentage as compared to today's 20% of women, but certainly a transformational time. And I was one of the first women recruited to join the all-volunteer force. Back then, there was only one woman captain in the Navy, and she was called the Director of the Waves. Never in my wildest dreams, let alone intentions, did I ever think I would reach the rank of captain. A Navy nurse, Captain Arlene Dwork, was the first woman to be promoted to the rank of admiral. It's a wonderful story. In this ceremony where the Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Elmo Zumwalt, promoted Admiral Dwork, and they actually had to create a special hat with lots more gold than I have. We call them scrambled eggs. And after he promoted her, he actually put the hat on her and gave her a kiss. Some reporters said, "Well, Admiral, I bet you never thought you'd live long enough to see an admiral kiss an admiral." And he said, "Son, to get where I am, you've kissed a lot of admirals." Well, because I lived through those first early years of the all-volunteer force, it sometimes surprises me that young women today take for granted their opportunities. For example, women can attend a service academy or ROTC. They can go to sea. They can fly military aircraft. They can earn equal pay. They can get married and have children. Heck, they can even wear slacks. Before the all-volunteer force, this wasn't possible. Well, one day when I was teaching ethics at the Naval Academy, I mentioned something about the all-volunteer force. After class, a midshipman looked rather troubled and came up to me and he said, "Ma'am, what do you mean volunteer? Aren't we going to get paid?" Well, I always considered midshipmen and sailors to be my kids. Then God gave me 31,000 Girl Scouts. But they are served by 13,000 volunteers. I love Girl Scout volunteers. Are there any Girl Scout volunteers out there? Oh, give them a round of applause. Well, there's one very special volunteer right in the front row. This Fullerton community knows well that Buck Catlin, my father, is a serial volunteer. Thank you, Dad. Buck's long legacy of volunteering is surpassed by no one. After all, he's 95 years old. From president of the Faculty Senate at Fullerton Junior College, to planning commissioner, to council member, Fullerton City Mayor, board director of the Metropolitan Water District, to organizing this and Vets Memorial Day ceremony for over 25 years, Buck has a servant's heart. He started volunteering young. He was an Eagle Scout. After graduation from the U.S. Naval Academy, Ensign Catlin volunteered for the most dangerous duty in World War II, submarine service. During the 1950s Cold War, each neighborhood in America set up a civil defense team of volunteers. After dinner one night, my dad signed up to attend the local civil defense organizational meeting. Now, knowing that my daddy Buck was a natural leader, his wife, my mom, Bobby, warned him not to volunteer for anything. Mom reminded Buck that he had 3 little babies at home and was frequently deployed at sea. Of course, when Buck returned from the civil defense meeting, he sheepishly reported to Bobby, "Meet the block warden." Our family has lived that story ever since. We're a family of volunteers. My sister Jannie, board trustee for the Fullerton School District, serves on 26, count them, 26 boards, committees, projects, and initiatives in the community. Tom Brokaw, American journalist and author of The Greatest Generation, said, "It's easy to make $1. It's a lot tougher to make a difference." So I challenge you to find a place, a passion, where you can volunteer and make a difference. Is it working with children? Is it working with senior citizens? Animals? Do you care about the environment? The arts? Military families? Ask yourself, if I won the lotto and never had to work again, what would I do? If your answer is I would feed the homeless, then you have found your passion. It has been said that service is the rent you pay for room on this earth. In Rotary, where I volunteer, our motto is service above self. In 1985, Rotary International declared war, and the enemy was polio. Through the good work of millions of workers and with the support of over $12 billion raised by Rotarians and matched by Bill Gates, The war on polio has been won in all but 3 countries around the world, and the plan is to eradicate polio in 2014, next year. We're this close to reaching that goal. That is the power of volunteerism. That is the power of service above self. 150 years ago, Civil War General Logan issued an order to volunteers to decorate the graves of Civil War veterans. May I give you Captain Catlin Jacobs' order? Take some time this weekend to think about volunteering. What needs to be done in our community? How can you make a difference? How can you make the world a better place? Let's honor those who have died for our freedoms by volunteering in their name. Volunteering is the best way to give back in the spirit of their sacrifice.